So I'm here with Simon Moutter, CEO of Telecom, and in this final part we're going to talk a little bit about the regulatory environment and aspects of the law. A good place I'd like to start, I think, which is a very controversial issue at the moment, is the GCSB bill and the Telecommunication Intercept bill. In all the ruckus over the GCSB bill, the telecommunications bill has sort of gone a little bit under the radar and perhaps missed some of the attention that it deserves. So what's Telecom's position? And you made a submission to the select committee on the bill.
Look, our position broadly is that a government in a nation has a right to set whatever level of standards of security monitoring it chooses, and that's a consultation between the government and the community, and they'll pass their laws. All that we're really asking is that impose on us the requirements that are economically and technically viable. Don't ask us to do things that are impossible, and some things are very difficult to do in an internet world where we don't control many things, and some things are wildly expensive to do, so they sound like a good idea, but it would effectively massively increase the cost to consumers of the service. So let's keep it in perspective around what's doable and affordable is sort of one thing. And then second, level playing field, please. We're in a world where many of the services we provide can be provided by weightless global businesses. We want everyone treated the same way. We're required to meet certain standards, so should anyone else who operates in this market. And there's a little bit of old thinking there that somehow telcos are different from IT companies. We're not. It's all IT today, and if you want interceptability on a phone call, that's fine, we'll give it to you in Telecom, but you better get it from Skype as well, because Skype's just a different means of having a voice conversation. So let's have a level playing field in the process.
And indeed, you could imagine an entire encrypted VPN phone VoIP system, how are you supposed to provide access to it?
We can't unencrypt encrypted material any more than the government can. So don't write a law that says we have to. That's where I'm getting it. Don't write law that requires us to try to do the technically impossible. That's pointless. And write laws that are practical and at sensible costs. Could we store every phone call and every email and every text for 5 years? Yes, we could. The cost of it would be unbelievable. So, don't pass a law that asks us to do that sort of silly thing.
So, that brings us to the question of privacy. And an analogy of that might be around your house. This is the NTIC in Carrington, which is the ultimate law on this, which sort of defines the king's right to enter your house. I don't have to give the police access to my garage. Why should I give access to interception services to my data streams or to my data storage in the cloud? Is there something obviously it's a controversial issue.
I think that you've got two issues there. Is what we're required to do is provide the practical capability for that interception to occur. At no point that still requires the police or the security body to get the permissions to apply it to you as a citizen. So that's a separate matter there. What allows them to then be permitted at any point in time to use that capability, as it works for us as the providers of services, we're just required to build the capability for it to be done when a judge says or a warrant is provided or those various parties are operating within their legal mandate. Now, I'm a citizen. I have a view on that. I'm not prepared to share it because it's just my personal view. We're not really arguing the social issues. That's the government has a consultation underway around what is right and wrong about people's rights. We're focused on the technical issues around what is done in the level playing field.
So one of the consequences of the PRISM regulations is that we now know that cloud storage based in the States is not really private at all as far as we're concerned. So we have no protection under the law whatsoever. That seems to create potentially an opportunity for some degree of more private cloud-based services locally. Do you see that that's something that might come out of it?
Look, I think we would look at all of these global. I think you find most customers who use global applications are not really aware of the rights they get in the way. A Facebook user, most of them don't realise that when they tick their box, agree to the terms that they're making all the content they post there belongs to Facebook, not them anymore. So I think global applications and services are always going to have hooks with them and unintended consequences. So it does create an opportunity for New Zealand companies to put something into the New Zealand market that meets different standards. The trick with that is it can be very difficult to communicate to customers what those benefits might be, or have them engage at a point at a buying decision, say, oh, I'll take that, not that, because it might be safer or whatever. It's not the easiest thing to market. It's really below the radar sort of level. So it creates opportunities, but they're not the easiest to market. Even most business customers, for example, would happily buy, storage cloud services until the day something goes wrong or they find that information stolen. The first time they go, actually maybe I would be better with a trusted one I know or something. So
and the cost of doing that could be much, much higher. And at the moment, the general public are getting Facebook and these world-class, fantastic services for free. So.
Yeah. And you don't really know what's being done with your information and data. And Google will be the same. I don't think most people know Google do all of the information about them. They, their preferences and things they do.
Moving to UFB. Do you have any view on? The government's announced a review now. They want to relook at it a little bit in a holistic fashion. Do you have a view on what ought to be done to get the UFB process working a little bit more sweetly?
Look, our view is get to certainty quickly. We're all. It's almost what the answer is secondary to the fact that give us something that we can all make bets on. We're betting billions of dollars, not just telecom, with a number of players, be it chorus, LFCs, retailers trying to market. We are betting billions of dollars a year trying to do this, and the number one issue is moving east. So certainty is everything, and I think our minister gets that, and I was encouraged by the central purpose of the intervention was the attempt to get to certainty quickly. My problem is I'm always a little bit sceptical of any government or commission-led process getting to certainty quickly. They tend to take a long time. So for me, that's the central issue. What the exact price points in copper versus fibre, I think there's flex in that system, and businesses can move and adapt. Once the rules are clear, you can change, you can adjust. So there's less absolutely a right answer, and there's a range of possible answers. But the central thing is, let's say, can we put a line in the sand and all get on with some confidence get delivered in the market.
So then the government sort of said that it's doing a TSO review at the same time, and that it almost has a holistic view that the two things should be considered to some degree together, even though they're not actually doing them together. That seems like a sensible approach in principle, because they do impact on them.
Look, we are very big supporters, and I think you'll find all the industry players are very keen to run the TSO review. It is an outdated, it's a 20-year-old idea born out of the Kiwi share, really entrenching the principles of copper network availability for voice calling and some old dial-up internet type concept that was added to it a few years later. Strange ways of thinking about it as a simple technology answer. It's high time for New Zealand to move to a future view of call it universal service obligations, whatever they might be. you'll find everyone agrees with the need to do that review, and we're all going to constructively engage in that. I think you'll probably find most of the industry agrees. I don't think there'll be a terrible amount of misalignment. Actually, we'll have a similar view that it's sort of the wider everything else review. We'd say, look, the central issue is this pricing of copper, the UBA versus the fibre issue. That is the single issue that is affecting most of our decision making today. The bets we're making, the millions we spend, we fix that first and then get on to the other.
So can you just explain a little bit clearer? I mean, the UBA versus the fibre. The fibre connection.
The issue that sparked and caused the sort of advancement of the large review was the decision, the Commerce Commission's, preliminary finding that the price of the unbundled bitstream service on copper for broadband should reduce, which raised fears that it would slow down fibre uptake or weaken. Some people were concerned that it would slow the uptake of the USB fibre network. Other parties were concerned that it might stress Chorus's financial situation to the extent that it wouldn't be able to honour its contract. So those are the two drivers for the minister saying, well, we need to do something to get an answer that works. Understand that is the central issue now, because it is. Every party in business now needs that landed, so we know what we're doing.
That landline related revenue stream is quite important to Telecom too. You guys get part of that as well in terms of the switching and part of it. How long do you see that remaining an important revenue stream for Telecom? It depends on what happens here, but is there a...
We don't really think the landline, we think of broadband as the new access product actually. So the landline, all our marketing effort, all our focus on the future, all our innovation is centred around broadband. So where it's a fixed service, it's broadband. We're not thinking about landline calling anymore. That's a dying revenue stream all around the world. And with landline calling has fallen away in round numbers 10% a year in New Zealand, just like it is everywhere else in the world. So we're fine with it. We're not trying to change that.
Sort of 5 or 7 or 8 years
it's for a large portion of New Zealand households, the landline is only there for broadband already, really. They might make a few local calls, but there's a lot of households making no paid for calls at all on their landlines, and that's normal. I was just reading last night in some material in the US, 36% of households don't have a landline. In New Zealand, it's less than 10%. In the USA, it's already 36% have no landline. In Canada, it's 16%. So it was over 20%. Sorry. Australia, it's 16%. So we'll follow those trends. Free local calling has made it slow. That's why that substitution is lower. That's most around the world local callings are paid for service. So it's a bit of an illusion. It still costs you $50 a month. It does. That's the point, right? But if you need the broadband line, then it's all a bit incidental. So it only really applies if you're calling over your household. If you want a fixed broadband connection, so that's where the action is. So that's how we think about it. We're not trying to defend landline calling anymore. It is what it is. We're just following the trends.
So if you were sitting here talking to Amy Adams and Stephen Joyce, what would you say to them right now?
I'd just say, look, can we move? We understand the need for these processes underway on be it security regulation or the economic regulation around fibre and copper. How can we assist you get to certainty the most quickly? We're flexible. We don't see there's only single answer to this. We're willing to engage in the range of possible outcomes. Can we do it fast, please, and get to an answer that we can all depend on? Because we're making bets that are bets that are taken for years, and the worst thing that can happen is the sense that we make a bet based on that, and then someone moves the goalposts halfway through it.
As the internet's all pervasiveness increases, new sectors of the economy are facing challenges from other aspects of what the internet's doing. So tax, in particular, has become quite a big issue for a lot of businesses. In many cases, these issues are coming into frame in a manner which can only be addressed by multinational coordination, it would seem, in decision making. And I mean, you've recently raised the fact that Apple has $571 million of revenue in New Zealand and yet only pays $2 million in tax. These weightless international businesses, and they should be a weightless international business because they're actually products selling, but they still manage to achieve weightlessness. I mean, this on its face seems to be outrageous, but who is New Zealand to sort of challenge Apple's position in this? And I mean, how can we realistically start addressing those challenges?
Look, I think it's true that the OECD and the likes of need to solve some of the international tax treaty issues, and you do want to run with what is becoming a global, you'd want some standardisation to be consistent with the rest of the world. There's no question in my mind about that, and I'm not, do I know anything about tax law? No. Can I make any difference to it? No. What strikes me as odd is why we point to some of these massive changes and point out, if I'm a high street retailer and I'm saying I can't compete with Amazon because they pay no GST, I don't get why we couldn't reply. It's all data. We know exactly whose credit card paid for it, whether it was bought in New Zealand or not. I mean, I don't buy it that it's impossible for GST to be charged on a purchase from Amazon website or anything else. I'm sorry, I don't buy it.